Do you ever watch makeup content where the creator sits down with a big bag from Walgreens or Walmart or CVS, dumps it all out, does a full face with this affordable makeup? They might rave about it on first impression, but then never touch it again to know how it works over the long term. Well, in today's video, I am going to do this look using products that I love so much that I used them up completely and repurchased them. If you want to see what products worked so well for me that they made that cut, then stick around. First things first, let's get this hair out of the way. I really should get some cute clips or something. I just have these black ones that came like with my blow dryer, and I always intend to get something cute or a cute headband or something, and then I forget. So maybe I'll put it on my Christmas list or something. I actually have a fistful of clean brushes, so I can put this makeup on with clean tools. And I have all the products I'm going to use in this basket. So hopefully things will go smoothly. Starting with a primer, I have used and repurchased this e.l.f. Jellypop Primer. And this one is actually almost gone too. I did not buy this in their latest restock. It was when it was still in stock before. And actually I think it was on sale because they were almost out of them. And then they restocked them and they sold out really fast. So I just put that on my fingers and all over my face. And I like the scent of this. It does smell like watermelon, but it's not like super heavy or super sweet. And it does not stick around once it's dried down. So it's just kind of a pleasant experience using it. But if you are sensitive to fragrance, then that's something to keep in mind. And it gives this tacky feeling that helps hold your makeup on. So a little ASMR there. Do you guys listen to or like ASMR? It's really helpful to me to settle down and relax for sleep. Then I'm going to use a second primer because I'm extra like that. And this one is a pore filling primer, also from e.l.f. This is kind of the classic old school poreless face primer. And I think I've bought this like 3 times. So it is a white lotiony kind of primer. And I just kind of press it. I actually got way too much. It is a silicone dimethicone sort of primer, so it gives that velvety slip feel. And I press it in where I have larger pores on my chin, cheeks, nose, and forehead, right through that T-zone. And I think it just does a great job smoothing everything out. I have to be a little careful leaning forward. I'm getting some sunspots. Everything I put on my face will be listed and linked in the description box below if you're interested in trying anything. All right, this is just a little bit of a cheat, but I did repurchase the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator, and I do still have the old one in my PUD basket, Project Use Up the Dribs and Drabs, and I've cut the top off. And there's maybe 1 or 2 more uses to scrape out of there, but it's really kind of gone. So I'm considering it gone for the purposes of this video because it will be gone in a couple days. I was using the shade Fair, and I did go up to light medium. The nice thing about a tinted hydrator is it's kind of sheer coverage, so different colors will work, but I did often add just a little bit of a deeper foundation in with the Fair so that it didn't look too light on my skin, or used a little more bronzer to kind of bronze things up. Squirt just a little bit on my makeup palette, otherwise known as a ceramic soap dish from the Dollar Tree. And I like to put my foundation on and kind of spread it out a little. This dries it down just a touch before I spread it around. And I think it helps give a little better coverage, especially with these tinted hydrator type products, the skin tints, the tinted moisturizer, that sort of thing, because I like my skin to still look like skin, but I also want to cover the things that I want to cover. And then I take a dampened beauty sponge and just blend that around. We're going to go Speedy Gonzalez style so that you don't have to watch me blend this forever because you've seen it before. So I'm going to come in a little closer so you can see. And I think it just gives a pretty finish on the skin. It doesn't cover everything, but the powder will help with that a little bit too. And I just feel like my skin can breathe. And for a lightweight foundation, this really does last on my skin all day long. By the way, it's important if you're following foundation or skincare recommendations to know the skin type of the person you're listening to. And my skin is mature. I'm 58 years old. I have fine lines and wrinkles, but I also still have oily skin. It is not dry. And especially in the T-zone, I get oily. So I sometimes have trouble with staying power of a tinted hydrator, tinted moisturizer, serum foundation, or lighter coverage foundations. I don't have that issue with this foundation, however. It does last on my skin all day long, and it does not make me look oily or greasy by the end of the day. For concealer, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Concealer. I don't like the regular one. It's way too drying for my mature eyes, but I do like the hydrating one. The key is don't use a ton of it. If you use too much, it's going to settle in your creases, and it has this huge doe foot, so it's easy to get way too much. I'm going to just take a dot right there and right there, and it is a little bit on the side of my nose because I want to get up into this area right here where I have darkness, and also down in the trough. And then I take just a little bit on the outer portion too. And I know there's people who say don't put concealer there because that's where your creases are, but I have kind of a hollow there, and so there is darkness there. And if you pat it out, I don't find that this continues to crease. It will crease at first, but if you pat it out and then set it, I don't find it to continue creasing throughout the day. Again, just like I do with my foundation, I tap this on, and if I have too much, take a tissue and wipe off my finger. And then I'm going to let it sit there for about 30 seconds. And what that does is it kind of helps it to dry down a little bit so that when I go into blend, I don't take off too much. I'm going to use this Alter Ego brush. It's a very fluffy brush to blend out this concealer, and I've actually been liking to do this with a brush more lately. I was using the sponge, the e.l.f. concealer sponge, and I still do use that, but I like the way the brush kind of helps press it into the lines without removing too much product. So I pretty much blend it completely with a brush. And this is really different for me because I never liked blending my concealer with a brush before, but now I do. So, you know, things change. Then once I have that blended, I'll go in with my sponge. Sometimes I like to do this with a dry sponge because it doesn't remove as much product, but I'm just going to go and blend the edges into my foundation so that I don't have reverse raccoon eyes. That's not a good look. So I'm using the foundation side of the sponge to blend that, and then I'm going to go in with a clean size and pinch that edge and really get in and blend in the inner corner. Then I'm going to take this 10X mirror and look in there and kind of pull open that section and tap in there, because I have these creases that kind of go like this, that if I don't open that up, the concealer will crease in there. And so then I just take my little pinky and tap out where I have a little bit of excess product. There. And then I think it does a really good job on my under eyes without making them look cakey or older or crepey or whatever. For powder, I actually have two, and I did use up both of these and repurchase them. And this one, I have pan in again. This is my favorite setting powder foundation. I have a whole video on it. I can link it for you if you haven't seen it. But this is my favorite for under my eyes. I do use this under my eyes as well, but I like this one a little bit better. So I'm going to take a little puff and just take a little bit in there, and then I take a tiny little bit and pat it off, and then I make a face to stretch my under eye, and again sometimes I'll open in that little section of skin right there and pat the powder on, and it just gives a little bit more brightness but also helps smooth and blur. And I did enough talking that let that concealer kind of dry down. I don't like powdering wet concealer because then too much powder sticks to it. So let your concealer dry down. If you need to, tap it out again if anything has settled in the creases, and then go in with your powder. Then with the Essence 16-Hour Cover and Last, I'm going to go in with a great big fluffy powder brush and just powder everywhere. And I pounce first, and then kind of buff and swirl. I do have on a little bit of a tinted lip balm. It's like one that I got at Dollar Tree or something. I just like to put something on my lips while I'm doing my makeup, but then I have to do that so I don't get powder in my lips, or lip balm on my powder brush. Neither works well. Okay, last year I used up 3 bronzers. I used up the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, the Milani Silky Matte, and the Maybelline City Bronzer. And the one that I liked the best out of those 3 was the Maybelline City Bronzer. So I repurchased that one. This is in the shade 100. This is a great bronzer for someone who is not really accustomed to wearing makeup, maybe wants to start trying a bronzer, or can be a little heavy-handed with a bronzer, me, because it's light and it can be built up, but it can also just give a really light bronze. So I'm going to go in with this slanted brush. This one was from an Ipsy. I'm not sure. I think it was a Luxie is the brand. And then I'm just going to go kind of under my cheekbone here and brush up and back. When you put it on, you don't want to blend down because that's going to make your cheeks more saggy if you have sagging, or make them look saggy if you don't have sagging. You don't want that either. So I kind of use my bronzer as a contour as well, mainly because I'm lazy and I don't want an extra step. But it gets a little confusing of where do you put contour, where do you put bronzer? And so I'm not a makeup artist. I just do what works for me, and that's what works for me. And sometimes I do my forehead, sometimes I don't because I wear bangs and you can't see it, but it just feels more complete if I do. But I usually also put it under my chin, even though I know the sun doesn't get there, but it helps to contour this saggy jowl area. And then I sometimes will just kind of, whatever's left on the brush, just kind of put on the high points of the face to give it a little more warmth. And you can see that I do have some bronzing, but it's not heavy and it's not orange. So really like this bronzer. I do not have a blush that I repurchased. I did use up 2 blushes last year. I used up the CoverGirl Cheekers blush, and I used up the L'Oreal True Match blush in Rose something. If I were going to repurchase one of those, it would be the L'Oreal True Match blush. Really, really like that blush. But I have so many blushes that I did not allow myself to repurchase one. So I'm just going to go ahead and put on a blush, and then we'll move on to highlighter. And I'm going to use one of my Essence blushes because I have 5 of them. So I kind of figure if I did run out of one of these, I would repurchase it. So that's the criteria I'm using right now. And I'm going to use my Mosaic blush. This one is in All You Need Is Pink. And it's just a really pretty pink blush. I think I might actually be getting close to hitting pan on this one. So I am going to be doing a panning project starting this month. And that's something new for my channel. If you like panning, then be sure to be subscribed so that you'll know when that goes up. It should go up next week. And this might end up in there because it's one that I could actually see some satisfaction on using and actually hitting pan in it. That was the great thing about my PUD project, is that because products were almost gone anyway, it was easy to get a payoff by really focusing on those products and using them up. And I need that. If I tried to pan this thing, which was new to me this summer and is a baked product, so it's kind of got the dome on top, it would just be a forever thing and I would get really frustrated. So I didn't actually use this up and repurchase it. But if I did use it up, I would repurchase it. For highlighter, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Fantasy Maker in Halo Effect. This is exactly the same as the old Wet n Wild in Blossom Glow. And I did use that to where there was a fairly significant pan in it. But when I did my highlighter declutter, I got rid of that one and kept this one because they were identical. So technically I didn't use up the old one before I bought the new one, but I liked it enough that I bought two. So I'm counting it, and it's my channel and I make the rules. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my cheeks. Why am I getting a glare off my window? Okay, I think I fixed it. Sometimes I use a fan brush to put on my highlighter and I get a little bit more of a line that I blend. And sometimes I like it to be just a little bit more diffuse. And so I'll use a fluffy blending brush like this one. And then I'm going to take my sponge again and I'm going to blend all of that so I don't have any striping going on. All right, let's do some brows. I just used up a couple of brow products last month, and so I did go buy another one. And I bought this CoverGirl Ultra Fine Brow Pencil in Soft Blonde. And of the micro brow pencils that I have tried and used, this CoverGirl one is actually my favorite. It does have the spoolie on the other end, which is a must in my opinion. And then it's just a really good color for my hair right now. A lot of the brow pencils that I've been trying to use up are warmer because I did have more red in my hair last year, but I've gone back to just the regular blonde. And so my brows haven't always matched my hair lately, but this is a really good color. I don't spend a lot of time on my brows. I just kind of get it on there, brush it through to soften it, and leave it at that. Now, I kind of lost my tail on this side, so I don't have much in the way of brow hair, and what I have is really blonde, so I also like to use a brow gel, and this is the e.l.f. Wow Brow in Taupe. I have purchased this more than twice. I don't know how many times, but I have purchased it. And I like to use my 10X on this because otherwise I can't see my brow hairs. And I just go through and I kind of wiggle and I go backwards just so that I can get product on all sides of my brow hair, and then go through with a final putting them down the way that I want them to be. Mostly my brow hairs behave pretty well, except for the ones on the outside, and there aren't a lot of them, and they just kind of go everywhere. So sometimes it helps if I just kind of tap those little rogue creatures down on the outside. Eyeshadow was another one that I had to give myself a little bit of wiggle room on, and I will explain in a second. But the one that is not cheating is my Wet n Wild Brulee. I have purchased this 5 or 6 times. This is a new one. The one that I have, I will continue to use up, but there's just a little bit of powder left in there and it's ugly, and I want to use this one in the video instead. I use this kind of color almost always to set my eye primer. I didn't put any on today because I don't have an eye primer that I've repurchased. I have used up eye primers, but the only one I ever actually repurchased was the e.l.f. Putty eye primer, and they don't make that anymore. So I'm not going to use an eye primer today. I did kind of let my concealer go up on my eyelids a little bit, but not really enough to consider that I have it on. But when I do have eye primer on, I always use the Brulee to set that primer from my crease to my brow bone. It also brightens up that area, and it helps to make the blending of the transition shade and the crease shade a little bit easier because it's not on a tacky base. But I want a tacky base on my lids because I almost always use a shimmer. Okay, so that one's not cheating. I have repurchased that many, many times. So for my eyeshadow palette, I haven't ever actually used up a complete eyeshadow palette. I haven't even hit pan on every shade in an eyeshadow palette, except for the old school Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells. Remember when it was a 3-pan? I did pretty much use up the cream color in that. I had pan in the pink one and a pretty good divot in the brown. So I'm considering that to be enough to meet the requirements for this video, because I did purchase the new Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells. This one is a 5-pan. And I went ahead and used the Brulee because this one, while it is the cream color, is a little bit shimmery. And I don't want that on the entire brow bone area. My eyes are a little bit deep set and kind of rounded. And if I put too much shimmer on my brow bone, it just pulls that brow bone further out and makes my eyes look even more deep set. Not what I want. So we're going to do just a very everyday neutral kind of eye with a little pop of shimmer. And I'm going to use the brown here with a fluffy brush for my transition. And I'm just going to first dab that color on. And then when I have it placed, then I'll start little circles and a little bit of windshield wiper movement. Windshield wipers don't work really good because I have crepey eyelids and it just moves the skin. The circles work a little better. And I dab it on because if I went in and just tried to swipe, it would hit here and then the brush just kind of drags and then the color would not be evenly dispersed. So, all right, I'm going to do the other side and I'll be right back. One thing to notice when I'm blending this transition color is that I start in the crease and blend above it. So I am underneath this brow bone to the crease, to that actual crease. I'm not in the crease and on the lid. I'm at the bottom of the crease and above it. Next, I'm going to take this smaller fluffy brush and I'm going to go into this deeper brown. And even though it's a shimmer, I'm still going to use it in my crease because when you blend a shimmer, you kind of lose the shimmeriness of it. And so I'm going to put this more focused right above my actual crease. I am creating a new crease line by going just above where the actual crease is. Notice I'm not doing it on this crease line, it's above it. And that gives the illusion then that my crease is higher than it is and I have more lid space then. I'm also going to bring this down from the outer corner towards the lash line, creating a sideways V shape. This gives lift to the outer corner of the eye. It continues that eye line up towards the temple. Again, dab, dab, dab to deposit the color before blending. And I'm not coming all the way down. I'm kind of stopping here because that's where I want to connect that corner to come in. What's left on the brush, I'm not putting anything else on there. I'm going to drag that same color under the eye, connecting the lower corner of the eye to the upper corner so that there's not a gap in that color. I'm going to hold on to that brush because I'm going to use it a little later with the dark, dark brown that's in here. But first I'm going to go into the pink on my finger and I'm just going to tap that across the lid. For a little bit brightness and shimmer pop on the lid. Finally, with a very tiny pencil brush, I'm going to go no, not finally. Then I'm going to go in with a tiny pencil brush to that shimmer white ivory color and bring that into the inner corner just to really brighten up. You saw when I was putting my concealer on that I have really dark inner corners and I like using a light color there to brighten it up. Sometimes shimmer, sometimes I use a matte, but most of the time it's a shimmer, let's be honest. There, now I have a little brightness in the inner corner. And now we're going to go back to that little bit bigger brush. Actually, changing my mind. I'm going to go into a kind of a dense, flat, domed brush. Nope, not even that one. I want a pencil brush. I can't find one. I grabbed a different brush. I use this a lot for this purpose. This is just a smaller pencil brush, not quite as tiny as the one I used in the inner corner. But I'm going to go into the dark brown and just kind of pick up a little bit, tap off the extra because I don't want fallout. And I'm going to tap that right along where I took that other brown, but just in the inner corner. And then I am going to blend that. So just for a little more depth in the outer corner. Then I'm going to pick up that brush that I used for the medium brown and just blend that. I'm going to go back and forth to build it up. I don't want to build it up too fast and get too much. So I'd rather do it a couple of times. And get the look I want, then get too much and not be able to blend it. So if you aren't confident in your blending skills, do it that way. Put a little on, blend it. Sometimes you're going to put a little on and you're going to blend it and you're going to be like, where'd it go? That's okay, just put a little more on. And then when you get a little bit more comfortable, you can start out with a little bit more so that it doesn't blend away on you. But you aren't in a position where suddenly you realize, oh, I have to start over. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to do for my eyes today, except liner and mascara. If you hear a humming noise in the background, I don't know if my phone's going to be picking it up or not. My daughter is in the other room sewing, so hopefully that won't be too bothersome. I have purchased this Wet n Wild kohl eyeliner in Simma Brown now at least 3 times. This is a huge pencil, will last forever. It's a regular sharpening pencil, and it's, depending on where you buy it, 98 cents or like $1.25. The lid always cracks, and so you have to be careful not to push it down too far and smash the top, but it's okay. And I'm going to use this to tightline. This pencil transfers easily to the waterline. And stays put when you put it up on that upper waterline. It doesn't transfer down to the lower one. I'm also going to put just a little bit into the lash line. I'm going to scrub it into the lash line. Just on the outer half. And then the other thing I like to do with eyeliners, I like to use a lighter color in my lower waterline. I think it brightens the eyes and helps them look more awake. So today I'm going to use this Maybelline Light Liner in Starlight Gold. Did use this up completely, repurchased it, and if I use it again, I will buy it again. I really like it and use it with a lot of my eye looks. Because it's got a little bit of a sparkle, but it's not too much sparkle. If you find that you have a hard time tightlining your lower waterline, you can take a Q-tip and just kind of run it along and dry it and then put it on. It kind of helps it stick a little better, or use 2 coats of it because sometimes it'll stick better to the little bit that gets on there, and then put more on. I don't typically have a problem with it, but if you do, try those tips. So for mascara, you might think you know which one I'm going to use, but you would be wrong. I have repurchased this many times, 4 or 5 times, but that's not the one I'm going to use today. I am going to use a newer mascara, the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. I purchased this for the first time last year. I have used it up and repurchased it fairly recently with an e.l.f. order when they were having a sale. And I like this mascara for a couple of reasons. One is I don't have to curl my lashes before I use it. Another reason I really like it, and talking while I'm doing my mascara might be a risky proposition, but hey, let's live dangerously. Another reason I like it is it gives a really nice separated lash. Sometimes I don't mind a little bit of a clumpy lash, but sometimes you just want a separated lash. And the brush has a little curve on it that helps to curl the lashes, and I just really like the effect. This is one coat on here and nothing over here. And I am now going to do my other eye, and I'll be right back. By the way, this is one of those mascaras that I like better a week after I open it than I do when I first open it. All right, we're going to do the second coat on the first eye. And there you can see that second coat gave it a little more length and also helped with the volume at the base. The other thing I like about this mascara, and it's not a sure thing, but I am much less likely to get it all over my eyes and have cleanup work to do with this wand than with a lot of the other ones. I'm going to put my bangs down and go on to lips. So I don't know about you, but I have a lot of lip products. I have a lot of lip liners, lipsticks, lip glosses. And so to use one up, especially a bullet lipstick, is really kind of an incredible feat. It's not surprising to me that these three products all got used up because this is my favorite lip combo. If I had to pick one lip combo for all time, these would be the three products that I would pick. The first one is a lip liner from Believe Beauty. This brand is exclusive to Dollar General. I think you can find it on their website too, though, if you don't have a Dollar General near you. And this color is called Barely There. And it is just a nude pink, little bit of a warmth to it, but it goes with cool eye looks or warm eye looks. Doesn't matter. The pencil is super creamy. It is a retractable, not a sharpenable. And it costs somewhere in the vicinity of $5. Lasts really well too. So that's the lip liner. The lipstick is my favorite lipstick from Flower Beauty. This is in their matte line, and it's 020 Naked Blush. Again, just kind of a neutral, but it's not so light that it gives you concealer lips. I have tried a couple of other nude lipsticks, and I just don't like that look on me. It's too light. It looks really pretty on some people, but not on me. Again, it's very creamy. It's matte, but it's not drying. I have used it just with this lipstick. A lot of times I will let it dry down before I put a gloss over it, increases its staying time. I'm not going to do that today because I don't want to take the time. And then to top it off, I love the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in Moon. This is probably my favorite color. It has a little bit of a pink tint to it, some shine, a little bit of shimmer. It's just so pretty. And I'm going to put that just kind of in the center. It's just so comfortable. It's not sticky at all. And it has this amazing vanilla cakey kind of flavor scent to it. If you don't like scented lip glosses, you might not like it. I don't like floral scented lip products. It feels like I'm eating flowers, but I don't mind like vanilla or food scented lip glosses and lip products. And so that is my favorite lip combo. Just really like it. Goes with so much if you want to do a really bold eye and a little bit more of a neutral lip, or just with this everyday look that I've got on right now. And I just wiped off the products that were on my hand with a tissue, and the lip liner didn't budge. I had to really rub at it to get it off of there. And it wasn't there very long, so it hadn't dried down much. So what do you think of my look with my products that I loved so much? I completely used them up and bought them again. Many of these are tried and true, been around for a really long time. You might even have them in your own inventory. And I really like focusing on products that have been around a while because they're still here for a reason. They're good, they work, they're affordable, they're just staples in my inventory. And maybe it will bring to mind something that you haven't used for a while, or maybe you'll find something that you want to try. If you're interested in more everyday looks or makeup for beginners, I have a couple of videos that might interest you, and I hope you'll check one of those out. I'll see you there or in the next one. Don't forget to do the things: subscribe, notifications turned on, set to all, and hit that thumbs up button. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye-bye. Then I'm going to go in with a tiny pensy. It's a pensy brush. Okay, then, hang on, got an eye bogey.